Welcome, everybody. Here we are in Ascension eSports' Elder League Playoffs, Week 1. I am your host, Doctor, being teamed up with none other than Wumbo. How you doing, Wumbo?
I'm doing pretty good. I just got back from a barbecue restaurant, so my stomach is full, so I will definitely have energy to get through this cast. This is going to be an exciting one. The 4th and 5th seeds from this season. We have a Goon Brigade on the blue side and Backdoored Your Mom on the red side.
Yeah, and this is kind of set up to be a barn burner. When you have seeds that close, you know that their seasons were just such a tight running that every inch counted there, and it ended up just breaking down, and now the end of all their hard work is coming through.
Yeah, extremely close, actually. But the last time these teams met, it was a 1-1 series, and both teams actually had the same amount of points, so this is extremely close, like you just mentioned.
And we're seeing pretty normal bans coming out from Goon Brigade. I mean, Graves, Caitlyn, Aurelia, probably tier 0 picks on this on this patch, I meant to say. And the Anivia ban seems to be the only one that makes sense on Backdoored Your Mom.
Yeah, Anivia definitely a target ban, but I believe they're working with a few subs on the side of Backdoored Your Mom, which is why they banned Aatrox and Urgot as the throwaways.
Which would make sense. I mean, we don't typically see Aatrox bans, although Aatrox has been going through some changes that maybe someone might have him as a pocket pick. But
he's pretty strong. I'm actually a pretty big fan of him right now. I mean, he still has they're good like band-aid fixes to try to give some strength back to him, and I actually like them quite a bit. But still, I wouldn't say really up to par. Maybe like B tier, A tier at best in terms of top laners. But of course, he'd have to bring some sort of compensation for a lack of CC and hard engage. But
yeah, I mean, my only recent experience with the Aatrox is him just dumpstering my top laner in solo queue, and that was not a fun game.
Yeah, he definitely dumpsters. I'm liking these picks right now on the side of Goon Brigade. They first picked Lee Sin to give that one to Zoomalus. Lee Sin always a pretty good pick, and this time we'll be going into the Gragas. A fairly even matchup, but I believe Gragas would outpressure him in those early levels, but still very potent counter good jungling, or counter ganking rather, on both sides. But a Ziggs and a Thresh on the side of Goon Brigade also. A Thresh pick, just very good. You know, you have a little bit of engage with those death sentences and flash flays and all those sort of playmaking abilities, as well as lanterning your allies to safety. The Ziggs pick could go in that ball lane, or could go mid lane.
Yeah, I mean, Ziggs support is actually something we've been seeing even still a lot of in the professional scene, but it also is very good wave clear in the mid lane. Yes, we've been seeing a lot better picks coming out. You know, we've been seeing a lot of Syndra, we've been seeing Orianna, and, you know, these are all picks that are very explosive. But if you are kind of thinking about planning like a scaling AD carry, like maybe they pick a Tristana here, maybe they pick a Kog'Maw, something like that, then they have that Ziggs that is there to keep them afloat and keep them going throughout the entire game.
Yeah, and if they did have a very good scaling AD carry like Tristana, that would make their sieging absolutely massive towards the late game, with getting the E-bomb onto that turret and then a satchel charge and passive from Ziggs would just melt turrets and just chunk them down almost instantly. Right now, Goon Brigade taking a fair amount of time with these last two picks. It would be reserved for their top laner and potential ADC or mid laner. Expect them to go over to the mid lane, but I think it's pretty smart of them to save these picks for last so they can try to counter these solo lanes. And as you can see on the side of Backdoored Your Mom, Risbro going to be going on to a Swain. Really like seeing that pick. Swain always very strong and a little bit not as popular as some of the meta top laners we've been seeing, such as Fizz or Nautilus, or even the new Maokai, who unfortunately is actually banned, I believe, on playoffs until next week. Yeah, because the patch just came out. Yeah, so all the new tanks, just so if you guys don't know, Sejuani, Zac, and Maokai are prohibited from play for this week of playoffs. Next week, they will be fair game.
So, looking
I thought it would be a swing going to the top lane, but Recrysis is hovering the Fiora for Risbro. It could be the potential pick up in that top lane.
Yeah, they actually had 2 to 3 potential top laners already picked up with the Lulu, Gragas, Swain. That Fiora completely changes up that draft a little bit. And it kind of makes me worry for the Goon Brigade lineup. They don't have a tank here. Like, they have a very squishy top laner, very squishy mid laner, very squishy jungler, very squishy AD carry. They don't seem to have anybody that can, stall for them.
Yeah, that being said, in terms of they can burst, like if you would think about like some of these matches would potentially go, they could definitely burst the Swain through his heals, but that Gragas could be giving them a runaround if they don't scale fast enough to be able to deal with the tankiness that he's going to bring. I mean, especially the large amounts of dive displacement that they have. I mean, Gragas is very good at alley-ooping any of those carries to that Fiora. And Fiora with wild growth on him that's a pretty dangerous combo. So this is looking a little bit tilted towards Backdoored your mom's favor, but I mean, still with the early game pressure that they'll have from this Lee Sin pick and the amount of skirmishing that they have between Ahri and Jace and just the rest of the solo lanes, I think they'd be able to give Backdoored your mom a run for their money.
It's definitely going to be very reliant on this Lee Sin, I feel. I mean, he's a very early game jungler, and he has a very scaling set of laners throughout the map. My only concern, I guess, is he doesn't have like a guaranteed engage, right? Like Ahri can charm, but you can whiff the charm and all of a sudden you're into trouble. You can get the hook or the demo charge, but both of those can go awry very quickly, and all of a sudden Lee Sin's no longer in a good position to gank. I mean, we've seen Karsa this last couple weeks in the MSI patch being able to make plays even without landing resonating strikes and stuff like that, but I feel like this may not be the same level of Lee Sin that we're going to be seeing here.
Yeah, it will be a little bit tough. Looking at the zoom of those KDAs a little bit, not well, to say the least. Usually a multitude of deaths, but that is being said for the entire series. But it's still a little bit worrisome when you're playing on such a fickle champion like Lee Sin, who has so much room for error. If he can perform, it's really going to be determinant of their success in this game.
Yeah, and lately I've been noticing that a fair amount of teams are opting to go with a tankless route. But do you think that's really the best choice right now, especially when we just had our tank rework? There's a lot of items that are doing very well tank-wise and stuff like that.
I mean, it's a very early in the patch cycle right now for perhaps teams to be able to make adjustments to it. I don't anticipate that they all have PvE counts and able to practice on it, so they're just kind of going with what they know, and I'm glad that they're doing that instead of like trying to go for some picks that they think are really strong after the new patch that they really haven't been practiced on, like just picking it O because it's OP. So I'm glad that they're sticking to their guns. That being said, though, I would like to see changes within the next week in their picks and potential play and itemization.
So as we, tick down these final seconds here, who do you think we're gonna see come out ahead?
I really just have to give it to Goon Brigade because of this Lee Sin pick. If he's able to get rolling on that, especially with how snowbally the lanes are, his solo laners. I mean, Ahri has a pretty good matchup into Swain. She did bring Ignite, so those heals aren't going to be doing very much. Jace, if he can keep the distance on this Fiora, Rizbro's going to have a tough time. And then once they start moving that Ziggs around the map, and I really like what they drafted here with the Ziggs Thresh. You start moving the Ziggs around once he starts getting that bot lane turret down. You move him around the map, get the other outer turrets down, and just keep cycling around and rotating with that Thresh in his pocket to pull him out whenever he needs to get out. And even if the Thresh isn't there, he could still potentially save the satchel charge to get out himself. So there's definitely a lot of tools on the side of Goon Brigade. With that being said, there are tools on the side of Backdoored your mom to stop that.
So I am going to have to disagree with you. I definitely do think that Backdoored your mom is going to take out the W. I honestly believe that tanks are going to be kind of the namesake for these next couple of patches. And if you build a tankless comp, I feel like you just have such a hard time trying to burn through it. And Lulu, still absolutely the tier 0 support. It has to be pick ban. And when you have that wild growth backing up your tank, backing up your Swain, there's a lot of health to burn through, and I don't think they have it right here.
Yeah, that definitely is a very, very fair point, especially because, when you do have a tank, you have so much more room to make plays. You can have that tank face tank towers to get them down a little bit easier and kind of suck up the damage and take skill shots, which on the side with, a shock blast, shockwave. I just realized that they have the same key names. Shockwave, shock blast from Lee Sin and Jace, and then Qs from both the Ari and the Ziggs. You do have the tank to block that, and the same can't be said though for Goon Brigade. So that is a very fair point about not having a tank.
But here we are, folks. We're in game. We're loaded in the map. I want to know who the chat thinks is going to win. I see a Let's Go Crisis, but he is only a lowly support this game. So I need to see more hype in this chat. I need to see more excitement for your players. And I want to see level 1. I want to see this Thresh walk in and just slam down the hook on the table and make something happen right now.
Yeah, they look like they're about to do that. They're posting up, but it looks like they're going to be spotted out by Quantum Lightning. They did place the ward there. It might get taken out. Nope. So
not quite quick enough. And they do decide to back off. They're a little, what's the word?
Hesitant.
Skittish? Hesitant. I feel there's quite a few words that could be used to describe that. But they do back off, and a very typical start coming out from Gragas right here.
Yeah, typical start, but that being said, I mean, even though nothing much did come from that level 1, it's almost the mentality of that invade with how aggressive they were, everyone on the same page, and just walking in there. We've seen a lot of these teams just kind of sit, in normal solo queue camp positions, in the brush behind red, and just sort of wait for the buff to spawn. I like that both teams took the initiative to check, especially with the Goon Brigade, to go past that river and into enemy lines.
Yeah, you can't always trust your team to back you up there and follow you into danger. So you do need to kind of pray that the other team's not already waiting for you, because things can get very hairy very quickly.
Yeah, hairy indeed. And so right now you'll see Zumulus and Uckler starting on opposite sides of the jungle, meaning that Gragas, Uckler on Gragas will finish towards his bot side, which wouldn't be the easiest lane to gank for him, at least unless he goes around through Tribrush, whereas Zumulus will be finishing on his top side, and that would be a pretty juicy gank onto that Fiora.
Fiora does not have a crazy escape, does have a little bit of movement there, but unless you burn a flash, you can get caught out pretty heavy.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough lane for him, ranged into melee matchup, but only sometimes, those transforms on Jace, always nice. In the olden days, would stack your tier up, and it was pretty OP, but those days have since lapsed, and now we're into a balance. Speaking of balance, Lee Sin and junglers both pathing towards opposite sides. Looks to be though that VR Contact's actually shoving in his lane opponent, so any potential gank is not going to happen. That said, it lands on the Recrisis, and he'll get some poke out.
Big hook landing there. Unfortunately, more damage gets turned back onto Fugnuggler due to Mystic Shots, and Quantum pulling quickly ahead here has technically the potion lead. Started with one, still has one, whereas Nuggler has had to burn his.
Yeah, I would have liked to see a little bit more of an adjustment from Backdoored your mom on this bot lane pick, considering how early they picked it within the second ban phase. I mean, they did opt for the Lulu, obviously, like you said, being the S+++ tier pick in support, but really it just allows Ziggs for easy scaling because there isn't much poke to be had here besides some glitter lances and a potential Q, but that's going to be easily dodged.
Yeah, and I'd like to get your opinion on this mid lane. I mean, Swain Ari is not exactly something we've seen a lot of.
Yeah, I really like the Swain pick. It gives a lot of zone control, which makes it easier for engages from the Gragas, and it acts as almost like a secondary tank. So if he gets rolling, it's really going to be difficult for them to stop him, and especially with Lulu and the Gragas, he's going to have so much backup to continue the snowball. They've Backdoored Jamal has drafted themselves a really, really solid comp with a lot of tools to try to make some stuff happen.
Big damage coming in on both sides of these top laners. Very volatile. And I'm surprised we haven't seen a jungle gank yet. Just so much opportunity there. And whoever gets rolling in this top lane is going to have such an advantage.
Yeah, I'm as well curious about the lack of early jungle pressure, considering that's kind of why you pick Lee Sin and Gragas also has very good early ganks, as well as a little bit of scaling, and it looks like he is actually going to go for one.
There's no vision here. Konsig already getting slowed, gets body slammed, knew he was dead, gives up first blood, and then goes over to Uklar, who is just going to get tanky now, right?
I believe, well, not tanky just yet. He's going to probably go for that Runic Echoes build. So it's not going to give him that many tanky stats, you know, being an AP item at first, but he will start building into that. And good discipline from VR Consig to save his flash, but that's a pretty big misstep for him to be shoved up like that with no wards.
Now I'm a little concerned because Nuggler seems to be, and maybe I'll talk about it in just a second, Resonating Strike does land, Death Sentence forces the flash, and Crisis is able to make his way out.
I'm curious, I don't really think he needed the flash, I think he was fine, but nevertheless, that was a pretty good cue from Zumos. I'm actually fairly impressed he was able to slip it past the minion wave. Still was able to get the flash, and that's going to be a lot of kill pressure.
I think the Death Sentence was going to hit a minion, so I'm not... Better safe than sorry, though. You definitely don't want to be giving up a kill in this bottom lane. But what I was starting to say there is I feel like Nuggler on this Ziggs is kind of falling into the trap that a lot of the Ziggs players we've witnessed this season, where they don't play the Ziggs the way it's supposed to, right? I mean, we saw them build up a very large wave to push back against them. They wanted the gank to come in, so it makes sense to do that. But, ooh, Zamola's going to die here? No, he had Smite available. That would have been tricky. Lee Sin dying to Gromp, that's something else.
It's a quicker back time.
Yes.
I can understand it.
But like I was saying, when Ziggs is getting pushed in, he's not getting that like level 4 tower takedown basically. Do you think that's like time and time again we see Ezreal's of all champions push in Ziggs? It doesn't seem like that's why you want the pick, though.
It definitely is a little bit weaker in the laning phase. I'm personally fine with it just because that once he starts scaling, I mean, these are both scaling ADCs in one. Well, hey, I say ADCs, but you guys
bot lane carry.
Yeah, bot lane. Yep. 2 bottom carries that scale up pretty well, so it's mostly for the mid game rotations with the Ziggs that matter more. So I think it's fine for him to just be safely CSing up so that he can get to that stage and easily take down those towers. Looks like Zumos actually had a pretty good timing to get through there, but he might be in a pretty bad spot.
Oh, he's in an extremely bad spot. The exhaust comes in. Flash does not get him over the wall. The lantern, though, keeps him alive for now. And now
20 HP on him.
Burns his flash, takes an exhaust. He'll take that 1-for-1.
Yeah, 1-for-1, but exhaust does have a shorter cooldown still. That's actually pretty big for Lee Sin to not have his flash, and he's about to come upon that level 6 horizon so that he can make those pretty amazing plays that I'm going to be expecting from Zumulus. Hear me out, dude. I got some high expectations for you, buddy.
Yeah, we did. There was actually a post on Reddit about some of the spectacular Lee Sin plays you can make with flash and ward hops. I didn't understand what they were talking about, but...
Yeah, a particular favorite of mine is actually since he's on the blue side right now, where you'd go into the enemy raptor camp, ward hop over, and then flash ult behind the laner. And then it's such an easy gank. He's got some of the most creative gank paths.
Ooh, Konsig does get the Grand Challenge gauntlet thrown at him, but he is able to flash away. Flash for flash in the top lane. I think Konsig will be okay with that. But
yeah, Konsig, he'll be fine after that.
Ukler also seems pretty okay, though.
Yeah, Riz would like to see Ukler come up there for a gank since he does not have flash. And that'd actually be pretty bad, because then try to be playing a scaling game if this Jace gets behind, put him in a solo lane for a while. And just
Ooh, Wizbro getting jumped on, does get kicked out of tower, but Zamolus, unfortunately, is thrown away from the tower. Survives once again with a fraction of HP. Prungles gets the better end of the trade in the mid lane as well. And what does Zamolus have hanging around his neck, if not a horseshoe right now?
I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. He just knows his limits on Lee Sin that well.
Zamolus gonna get found out here.
He has a ward.
does get bumped up. Can he go down here? He does. No way to get out. No flash. No ward hop
Oh, he used his W to clear.
to survive the Gromp. Yeah, that
Yeah.
does mean he should lose his blue buff here unless Consig can get a Miracle Steal coming in. But Uckler has Smite available. So or he'll... Oh, there it is.
Yeah,
I was like, he should get this.
Yeah, regardless of who that goes to, though, that is going to take the blue buff away from Pongles, who it's really important on him, especially because if he's trying to win this lane and poke down Sylvalum on that Swain, he's not going to be able to without a blue buff, because he'll just heal past all of it, and Pongles will lose a lot of mana from that. So this actually swings the mid lane matchup quite a bit.
Now, the mid lane matchup, we talked about it a little bit earlier, but you would typically expect a Morella Namacon basically first item from your mid laner, correct?
Correct.
In this matchup. However, we've seen a lot of Aries go Gunblade first. Do you think that's what we're going to see here?
I don't expect to see it here simply because it's more like that's builds meant for a solo lane. You know, when you're just going to be putting him in there and farming, and then you're going to have to win the dueling matchup. But Morella Namacon's actually going to be a little bit better, considering you don't really want to be that close to a Swain anyway and be in his auto range. You want to kind of be bouncing in between his ranges with the AoE slow and heal, and kind of get out of that, wait for it, and go back in. You know, I will give the advantage though to the Ahri with the hiding capabilities that she has over the Swain.
So I did just notice that it's Thunderlord's Jace. I'm a little... Maybe I'm out of touch, but I feel like maybe Fervor would be better?
I'll let it slide though, because I mean it's better for laning phase. It gives you a lot more poke, but there goes the
big hook onto Recrisis. Does pop the Wild Growth. The Ignite is down. Fugnugler does get it and gets out, but the TP comes in. Ooh. True Shot Barrage is not going to land on Nug, who gets over the wall, but he should be going down here. He went through a ward. Quantum forced to flash, but Nugler has his dancing shoes on today. Eats the crow, though, and finally goes down in a very extended 1-for-1.
Yeah, extended 1-for-1, but all summoners ended up being burned in that ball lane besides Recrisis' exhaust, so a lot of resources expended in that trade.
And Fugnugler thought he was going to get away, but turns out crows are pretty fast. But does that set up for a rougher mid lane for Prungles now? I mean, yes, TP and Flash were burned for Stilvalum, but he got the kill. He's going to be able to get his Roa this back, I believe. Yeah, he's going to be able to pick up this back, and he's going to be getting just that much more of an extended lead. But Uckler finds a blind monk.
Yeah, it does pick up the Roa, and Prungles actually doesn't respect the back timing and is just staying around, so this will be out of the favor of her when he gets back to lane, because it'll be a Doran's Ring, or a 2 Doran's Ring, Boots, and Amtome versus a full Rod of Ages Amtome Doran's Ring, so that's going to be a tough lane to deal with.
I mean, 2,300 gold, as soon as Prungles backs, which it does appear to be now, basically, then we'll be getting the Morella Namacon, but Nugler is not winning this trade. Silenced comes in, one more auto is all it takes, but it can't come in! Quantum doesn't get it, should be going down here. Zamolas gets one, does get not the second one, because it goes to fishing, and how unlucky to give it to your support. Rizbro is on the worst side of this trade, throws down the gauntlet, but can he get the kill? The answer is yes! Rizbro picking up the heal, picking up the kill, and picking up the farm.
Yeah, some good. I mean, on the opposite end, Rizbro making a good play, getting a solo kill. But both bot laner. Oh wait,
big charm coming in. Doesn't seem to matter though, because Prungle's down to half HP. Uckler getting his big frog pickup, and Zamolas is not winning this trade in the slightest.
Yeah, he can't handle it. He hasn't finished his juggle item yet, and ended up going for a TM1 after the Smite Stone. Whereas Greg is actually sitting on 2 kills and his full Runic Echoes and some CDR boots, so he's gonna pretty handedly win that trade. And just to elaborate on the double death in that bot lane, if you look at the time, they literally had the entire river warded. There is a pink ward, the pixel brush, but
Consig is definitely not where he wants to be. To the Skylands goes down.
Oh,
He almost gets one kill. He's just going to run right by Rizbro, though. But he gets the kill! To the skies, puts him to the dirt. Can he get a second one? Gets body bumped, gets barrels into oblivion. Uckler makes it a 1-for-1.
Yeah, I was really, honestly, a little bit curious why he didn't place a ward into any of those brushes. That would have definitely given him the kill. But now
He actually had both trinkets, too. I don't think he had the control ward. I think he just bought that one.
No, he didn't have the controller, but there is that Ziggs that I was talking about earlier. You know, once you get that bot lane turret down, you start having him roam so that you can take down these other turrets extremely easily. You know, we haven't really been talking about it, but PP Fishing has been fishing for those hooks, and they've been connecting pretty well. So hats off to him for good hook accuracy.
And both tier 1 in in bottom and mid lane both went down very quickly right after one another. And that's the power of the Ziggs. Do you expect to see Nuggler run top, pick up that tier 1, and then just kind of do wave stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. They need to go get that tower, and that's kind of the reason that you picked this Ziggs in the first place, is to get this tier 2 towers down extremely quickly.
TP'd in onto the dragon. It's about half HP. Never move on to Ari, though. Instantly taken down.
Yeah, they're not
Zamulis throws down the kick, throws down the smite, but the dragon just won't die. Zamulis, though, is going to pop the grand challenge. Heals come in there. 2 kills and a Cloud Drake.
Yeah, that was simply just Goon Brigade biting off more than they could chew. They should have just taken that tower, rested on their laurels, and backed, because they were the Backdoored. Your mom had the tempo advantage. They were able to get the back in after that turret had fallen, so they were working with more stats than Goon Brigade. So it was no wonder why that dragon went over to them.
Ooh, explosive cask in onto Nuggler. Very aggressive arcane shift in. Stunned up under the tower is Savellum, but he's just simply winning this fight. The ignite is not enough until just then. PP Fishing picks up his second kill of the game, and it only cost him his bot lane carry.
Yeah, on the backside of that, though, the top lane tower actually just fell, so all outer turrets now gone for Backdoored Your Mom. They could be making a trade here, picking up that mid lane one, because I don't think it's going to happen.
Prongles has his ultimate available, gets the charm onto Recrisis. Can he keep going? Flash to flash in the mid lane, but the double kill for Prongles. And that's kind of making up for that dragon fight where he had flash and dash available and still got caught by the never move.
Yep, they do have the tempo advantage now, and they are going to go for this newly refurbished Rift Herald.
Which I'm excited to see. I think this is just a complete absurd change that I don't even understand how it hit live. But
yeah, I completely forgot about this patch dropping, and then paired up with the Ziggs, towers are just going to be falling left and right.
So do they actually give it to Zamulis?
Yeah, I like that a lot, actually, because he's going to be moving around a lot, so he'll be in a good flexible position to be moving between lanes. And they can just call out, you know, whichever one they want that Rift Herald to go in. It'll be really easy to put Zamolas there.
Do they hold it until Dragon Spawn? And then just throw it top, maybe put Ziggs up there as well, get a free dragon, and then maybe a top tower even?
Potentially. I have an inkling that they've actually had a strat prepared for this. It might be that split push. But it could also just be walking into mid lane and just taking it down. They
just slowly walked up and down towered. But Baron's in a minute and a half. Do we see a 20-minute Baron?
Potential. I honestly doubt it. They're extremely squishy on the side of Goon Brigade. Perhaps Backdoored Your Mom if they have 3, 4, 5 members on it. It would definitely have to be the ADC, Uckler and Rizbro on it. They have a good amount of sustained damage to take it down. But it'll take them a fair amount of time, and in that time, Goon Brigade will be easily able to respond if they're not already dead. But to answer your question, though, Goon Brigade, definitely not, and Backdoored Your Mom, definitely not, because I doubt that they would be able to get the pressure with all the outer turrets still being up for Goon Brigade.
Now, I'm a little surprised, because Uckler has been kind of popping off this game. He's 3-0-3 already. I expected a tank coming in from him. Consig is getting caught out a little bit, lands the shock blast, gets the gauntlet thrown at him. Can he get out, though? The answer is a resounding maybe. Does only have one more tick, but it's not enough. Consig gets the kill. And I'm not quite sure why.
He's just simply out damaging him. The Ninja Tabbies gives Consig so much more defensive stats.
But they both have Ninja Tabby.
Yeah, but there's a lot more ability damage on the side of Consig, whereas literally all of Fiora's attacks are auto attacks, technically. Because her Q procs on hit effects, and then her E is just a slow and then a crit.
So what you're saying is unlucky.
Absolutely. The dice were not in favor of Rizbro. And speaking of such, VR Consig now onto this tower, but looking at an extremely low health bar, and he's going to be very aggressed upon. Pringles actually has a pretty good response to go bot lane. Also, actually went...
Uckler should get this one. Flash body slam, one more auto, isn't even needed. Gets the rampage, and keeps his tower.
Clean with a Q, with that flash body slam.
Clean with a Q.
Yep.
Questionable spelling.
Q-L-E-E-N.
You definitely grew up in Trump's America. But now, Sylvium didn't check the bush, but it doesn't seem to matter. He's just going to walk up and Ravenstorm, getting tons of damage onto Fug
There's going to be a
Nuggler.
re-engage, though.
He does have more friends than Nuggler, it would seem. This is a 4-on-3, and Nuggler has no HP. Body Slam's not going to land. Nevermove gets flashed out as well. Here comes the cask. Right into the alley-oop. Gets the kill, gives it to his AD carry, and now, can they collapse even further onto this tower?
They have enough people to take it down, and I mean, Greg resistance.
Prungles
tank it.
does get slowed up, lands the charm, should be able to walk away from this. They summoned the Rift Herald. I'm a little surprised.
Did they put that mid lane? Yeah, I think they were trying to get a response and a trade on that mid lane tower, but
there's nobody
frankly,
in
it's too late. Yeah,
well,
you're gonna get the backs in by the time.
Whew. Get in there.
And they don't have their Ziggs, so this turret has a very low chance of falling.
This turret's actually guaranteed to fall due to Consig just putting out massive damage there.
Never mind. Actually, I've never seen Rift Herald in action. This is actually my first time seeing it, and I had no idea that the Chunks Tower is that low. That is ridiculous.
Hashtag balanced is what I'm going to say there. But now, wards, unlucky. They have to burn both sweepers there to get the wards.
Yeah, actually, looking at the HP on that tier 2 top tower, on the side of Backdoored your mom, Fugnurgle can actually walk up there with no minions and put a W on it, and it'll go down.
Do they try and trade it for this dragon? Because we see Backdoored your mom starting it against a Lee Sin.
Yeah, it'll be a pretty easy steal, but with how far they have it,
ooh,
unless
that
they can
could
burst
come
it,
back to bite him. Mega Inferno Bomb coming in. Smite goes down for Backdoored your mom. Uckler's down to half HP. Swain is charmed up in the middle of the fight, just getting hooked in unrelentingly. Does get ignited, does get away though. Nevermove does connect. Can they continue this fight? Quantum, though, is getting dashed upon, flashes the wall, does get hit by the over-deception, finally goes down. Uckler can't defend this inhibitor, or can he? It's only one more auto. There it is. Does Uckler win this battle? I don't think he does, except for right there. He does win that one. Does get the shutdown, but Consig does get gauntleted once again. Ooh. Charm's gonna land, Flay's gonna land, Box drops down onto everybody. Fugnuckler picks up the kill on a Sylvium. And that could possibly be the game.
Yeah, it'd be extremely... I mean, very long death timers right now. Quantum Lightning going to be up in 5 seconds right now. It's just Crisis and Rizbro both healing up on that fountain.
TP is available. They have satchel charges. They have Jace. What more can they do? Turret goes down. Nexus is all that remains. There's taunts and flays, and everybody's getting hit up for damage. Crisis is not going to die, though.
And that's the game. 23 minutes. Such a quick win, and it almost seems like it's such an odd occurrence, but you saw how much sieging potential they had, picking up both that Rift Herald and the Ziggs, with as well as the side lane duelists in Ari and Jace, able to push down those turrets in split push fashion wherever the Wumbo combo sort of deathball team that Backdoored your mom had, and they just couldn't react. I'm stunned. That was game 1.
That was a lot of damage. I was actually really surprised, and clearly I was wrong about the compositions because that Jace was so much more impactful than the Fiora. Did die 4 times, but just time after time again pushed the tower, got the engagement, pushed the Fiora either back to Fountain or off enough that he could get free damage on the tower. Just ended up taking it all very low. We saw that mid lane push with the Rift Herald, and without that mid lane take on the Rift Herald, I don't think the game ends at 23 minutes.
Yeah, honestly, I thought that mid lane tower take and using the Rift Herald on just that one inhibitor tower was a little bit nigh. I thought they should have used that top and potentially gotten both, or even put that bot so you get the tier 2 and the inhib, but it ended up working out. And yeah, that Jace doing a lot of damage.
I mean, you say a lot of damage.
I was really impressed with his performance. Even though it looked like he was losing a lot of those trades in 1v1s. He'd have a few solo deaths, but he just started scaling up. And scaling evenly with that Fuhrer means that Jace is scaling past her.
Yeah, and, lots of damages in quotation marks right now because the game was so short. 13,000 damage is the highest total in the whole game on... Actually, I lied. 14,000 on the Ziggs. I can't read, apparently. But it was a 24-minute game, call it. And look at how low these damage charts are.
Yeah, it's extremely telling for the prowess that Goon Brigade just demonstrated towards us with such low damage numbers, very low kills. I mean, especially, at this level of play, a low amount of kills, only a 5,000 gold lead, which is, I mean, especially the way these games go, not the biggest gold lead, really. And it just shows how well they were able to play with the pressure and the siege comp that they drafted for themselves, which isn't the easiest comp to pull off anyway.
Yeah, and that being said, guys, we are going to take a short break while we set up for game number 2. The teams are taking a minute, talking to their coaches, reevaluating what they just happened to, and stay tuned for that, guys, and we'll be right back.